Hi everyone, welcome to Cloud Pharaohs. This is the part 4 of how to set up CI/CD for Azure Data Factory using GitHub Actions. And in this video, we are going to learn about the linked services parameter replacement and validation in the ARM templates at runtime when our CI/CD process runs. And to do this, we are using Python script. It is a custom script that we will be deploying on GitHub Actions, and then a bit of custom error handling that we have implemented. Now, to move forward, we need to understand what we've done so far. And I would highly recommend, if you have not watched the part first, second, and third of this series, please do watch it before you continue with this one. But here is a quick recap. So previously, uh, we have set up our GitHub Actions workflow, which takes our code from ADF dev environment and moves it to ADF test environment on the push to main branch in the dev environment. And GitHub Action is doing two steps: one, build, and the second is release. And at the time of release, we are using a default functionality called additional parameters to replace the parameters which are responsible for our linked services, the connections to our data sources, our key vaults and stuff like that. Like for example, ADF dev connects to your dev database, dev data lake, and as soon as the code moves to ADF test, the ADF test starts to point to test data lake, test database automatically. We have achieved this so far, but this process requires manual update to the release process every time you have a new linked service, you have a new key vault, you have a new storage space that you are onboarding. So in order to avoid this, what we are going to do now is that we will have a step in between the build and release step, wherein we will replace the parameters which are there in our ARM templates for the linked services, and we will replace them with respective test values automatically, and we will also apply certain validations. For example, if you have onboarded a new storage space, a new database, new linked service for your ADF dev and test environments, all you have to do is you will be updating that parameter and the value of it in a config file, and we will read that environment specific config file automatically during this process, our CI/CD process, and fail the pipeline if all the parameters are not specified in that template, and we will automatically replace the values if all the values are available. This is what we are going to do in this particular video. Now let's look at the demo. So for this demo, I have purposely cleared everything from test data factory. There is no pipeline, no data set here, and no linked services here. Okay, now let's go back to our dev data factory, go to manage ARM template, and export the ARM template. This is what gets used during our build and deployment step as well. So I just want to show you the parameter file before I head over to the Python script. All right. So this is the one I am talking about, ARM template parameters for factory. This file contains the parameters for our linked services connections. So this is a default parameter for factory name, and then this one is for our data lake URL, and this is for our key vault URL, right? Rest the secrets were already saved in GitHub. So we will be replacing these three parameters dynamically. Now let's look at the script. So I have kept all the files that I need for this demo in one single folder. Please don't mind. But this is deployed in a different structure on our GitHub repo, which we'll go to next. So this is the Python program which validates if our key value pairs in the parameter files are all being supplied by the respective config file, which is in our case this one. So all the key value pairs I have mentioned, which are of test environment, by default our parameter for factory.json has all the values from dev environment. Now when we run this script should replace everything in the values from dev to test. So I have created this runme.py file, which is just a simple method to call our Python program. And I'm just passing the two parameters. One is the parameter for factory JSON and one is the config file, which we need to use to replace or pick up the values from, right? So I am going to run this now. Yeah. So it says ARM template parameters updated successfully, which means that our parameters files now should have test values here, right? So test, SADL test and stuff like that. So this is what it is doing. Now I want to run one more test actually. So if I do not supply one of the key here, let's say, right? So then I run my program again. So you see that it says missing values for the following keys in the config file, and this is what we want to happen at the time of our CI/CD process also, and we are actually failing our program, our CI/CD process when it happens. Now let's go to our GitHub repo to see where we are keeping all these files. So in our GitHub repo, I have created a new folder called configs where I have saved the ADF params dot underscore test JSON file, which has the test values. And I have created a folder here where I've kept the Python script. Okay. Now the next thing would be to look at the YAML file, which is actually responsible for our GitHub action logic. So in this one, okay, let me go back and show you what is the difference between old and the new YAML file. I've actually deployed this already, so I'm going to walk you through from my local machine. So two key differences that we have in our old versus the new YAML file. So in the old YAML file, we were replacing the parameters using this one, this one, additional parameters. We were passing the key here, value here, key here, and value here. And this exactly is the problem here, that whenever you add a new storage or new key vault or something, you would actually have to come here and change the YAML itself, which is not ideal case. So what we are going to do is we are going to get rid of this and add our Python steps in between this and this step, which is what I've done here. This is the new YAML file. Now focus on this part. Yes, this is the part that I was saying. So in between, I have added this particular code where we are checking out our repo again. We're downloading our artifact, and then from the exported ARM templates, after we set up our Python environment, we are referencing the ARM template to replace, and from our config files, we are passing our JSON file to replace the values from, right? So this is the Python program which we kept in the scripts, if you remember, on our GitHub repo here. So this is under scripts, right? So this is the script that we are referring to here, and we are passing the two parameters. I hope this is clear. Now there is one more change that you should note here. So one, of course, I am not passing anything to this one. I mean, this should ideally be commented here. So I will not be passing this one. And the other thing that you should note is that in our previous file, we had mentioned the name directly here without saying exported ARM template. Okay, because we were already checked out at root. Now we are downloading and giving this path and doing everything inside of it. So please make sure that you use the latest YAML file when you try it out yourself. Okay, so these are the 2-3 differences. That's it. And now let's look at what we have in the config file here. Right, so I have all three parameters here, and all of them are test. So we are good here. And now let's try and make a change in this branch. Let me just remove this and just add something here. All right, so I'm just gonna save this, and I will be creating a pull request. Create pull request, create merge. That's it. Done. Let's look at the action if it has started running. It's queued. Yeah, it is running now. So in the meantime it runs. Let me show you again. There is absolutely nothing in the test data factory. Now when it appears after the action is completed, we should ideally still see all our linked services pointing to the right places. That's what our objective is. It's been 2 minutes and it's still running. Pausing the video again. Okay, so this is now completed. Let's check our test data factory now. Let's refresh. All right, so we have two linked services. Yes, we wanted two, and we wanted these pipelines. Let's check the linked services, which is important part. Let's check the key vault first. Yes, it is pointing to test, and the data lake one. Yes, this is also pointing to the right place, which is good. So this is what we wanted. So the deployment is in fact successful. Let's look at the steps, what it performed, and let's understand a little bit from there. So anyway, build step remains the same, right? So I'm not going into that. So this one is going to be interesting. So here we downloaded the build artifact. We did set up our Python environment, and we had our parameter replacement section here, and you see the message here is yes, it was done successfully. Then it logs in, and then it starts a deployment, and then it does the checkout and stuff like that. So this is what we wanted. Now I actually wanted to show you the failed scenario as well. That's also important because that's our main validation there. Let me go back and let me go to our branch that we're working on, and in the config files we are deliberately going to remove one key, okay, to check the same behavior. I'm going to remove this, and commit it here. Test removal of param and validation. I'm just typing anything for now. It is done, and let's do a pull request from here itself. It's fine, right? So this is the only change. Yes, create pull request, merge, confirm. This should run another action now. Yeah, this is queued. I'm gonna pause this video again. All right, so this failed within 1 minute 15 seconds. Let's look at the message here. So build was successful. In the release step, you see that under our ARM template replacement section, it is saying that this value is missing and we are exiting the process, right? So this is what we wanted to do. So of course this would not deploy anything to test, and we already had our link services done right there in the previous deployment, but I anyway wanted to show you um, this behavior as well. So once we add back that key, it's going to start working again. And this is it for this demo. I hope this was useful, and if you have any questions, please do comment, and I will try and reply. I know there are a couple of comments that are requesting us to create the CI/CD process to manage the parameters as well, like the normal pipeline parameters as well. I am going to look into that as well in our next video. Um, that's more of a contextual change, but we will look into that from the CI/CD process as well. Thank you for watching, and have a good rest of your day. Thanks. Bye.